When did you realize that you're dating an idiot? 1990. We live in central Alabama. She told me that her and her best friend were going to Birmingham for the weekend. Didn't think anything of it. There's lots of shopping and things to do in Birmingham. Came over Sunday night to tell me how disappointed she was in the trip. They had driven through all of the wealthier neighborhoods in Birmingham, Alabama for 2 days, trying to find a house that matched the gates to Ozzy Osbourne's house and never found it. He lives in Birmingham, England. This reminds me of when Russia invaded Georgia, and there were more than a few concerned US Georgians. When she said she loved nothing in the world more than Greek mythology, even got a degree related to Greek mythology from University of Arkansas, but had no idea who Prometheus and Achilles were. That was a weekend well spent at the University of Arkansas. She walked into a computer lab on campus and simply picked up a computer and walked home with it. She was living with me at the time, so I get home to find a very familiar-looking computer sitting on the kitchen table. She literally thought the computers were free for students. It took a bit of explaining to convince her that she stole the computer. I made her return the computer to the lab that night. She left it at the doorstep. The classic Bavarian fire drill, acting as if you already have the authority to do it, and nobody will question you. When my ex asked me where they grew spaghetti, Italy, obviously. When she was choosing random pills from the blister of a 21 active plus 7 placebo contraceptive, instead of following the arrows on the package. Wow, that's a dangerous idiot. Yep, got lucky finding out before something life-changing happened. After her third business opportunity turned out to be another pyramid scheme. We didn't date long, but knew each other for a while before that. I liked her for her work hard, get paid attitude. Turns out the hard work she was doing was costing her way more than she made, and didn't realize it. I broke down how pyramid schemes work to this one girl who got sucked into them all the time. Throughout me explaining, she said, "That sounds like MLM," like 3 times. After, we sat in silence. Can't see the forest for the trees comes to mind. She didn't want to watch the original Avatar movie, Blue People, until her uncle told her that it was based on a true story. I asked her if she meant that it was a futuristic version of Pocahontas. But no, she thought that it was somehow based on a true story. Then asked if I was calling her uncle a liar. Follow-up questions, like asking if she really thought we waged war against an alien society, went equally poorly. We were 18 years old, FYI, watching The Martian in theaters. She leans over and asks, "When did they go to Mars to film this?" She didn't understand that you actually have to pay what you spend on credit cards. Like the credit amount she had was supposed to be her monthly limit that just resets each month. My friend did that when he was 19. Thought that it was basically free money. Bought so much weed and food, and to be fair, he was very generous. And then the first credit card bill came. I work customer service for credit cards, and let me say, holy fuck, I've talked to people that are this dumb before. My first week in tech support, a medical doctor told me that they didn't need to connect to the internet because we downloaded the internet last month. I was literally speechless. We had to convince him that the internet had changed, and that's why he had to reconnect. When kids egged his car, and he thought the best way to get the egg off was to use steel wool. I like to imagine the kids high-fiving after the prank, only to see him cleaning it with the steel wool. A mortified chill of regret when they realize he was special. Calls me at work because her crumpets don't fit in the crumpet tray under the toaster. Crumpet tray? Had a look when I got home, clearly labeled crumb tray. What a dummy. Now excuse me while I go heat up some nice crumbs for lunch. When I asked her to hand me a kitchen knife and she threw it at me. And that's not even the stupidest part. When I tried to explain the basics of handing someone a knife or pair of scissors, she refused to accept that what she did was wrong or unsafe. It was suddenly apparent that she couldn't possibly ever admit to being wrong. Edit. It was an underhand throw. I work as a part-time chef. A new colleague once tried throwing a 7-inch chef knife into the sink. That is already stupid. But it was way worse because she didn't look and forgot that I was standing there, and she threw it right at my balls. Edit. No, my balls weren't in the sink. She just missed the sink by quite a bit. One night he turned to me and said, "You're a bit of a scientist." I was taking biology in high school. He was in college for music. "Can you explain how I can take frozen yogurt from the freezer, put it in the fridge, and it melts?" And I, already concerned, replied, "Well, the fridge is warmer. It's not cold enough to keep it frozen." And he asked, "But it's still cold?" And I had to explain that there are different levels of cold. Somewhere along the way I said cold is the absence of heat like darkness is the absence of light. And he was so mind blown by that. Are you sure he wasn't just stoned? He was definitely cold stoned. She was struggling with money and being able to save. I came home one day and she had a new 40K car in the driveway. She purchased it without even discussing it with me. She essentially sentenced herself to having no savings for the next 5 years when we were trying to save to buy a house together. There are many things people call red flags that I think are nuanced and depend on various factors before making a judgment. But that level of financial recklessness is just unacceptable to me. If you're going to live with this person, you're just inviting those problems into your life for the long term. That kind of thing can be the difference between a comfortable existence and a painful, stressful one. I hope you got out. The night I said that, I thought I smelled gas, and they grabbed a lighter and struck it without hesitation. Wild card, bitches. Yee-haw. The day I told my girlfriend I think I broke my toe, and her solution was to yank on it with all her might. It was gout. When we were kids, my brother once slammed his pinky toe into a bookshelf, probably while he was chasing me around the dining room table, and broke the toe. My dad thought it was only dislocated or sprained and tried to pull on it, but it hurt so much that my brother didn't let him get very far. Then they went to the doctor to get it looked at, and sure enough, it was broken. My dad was very glad he didn't try harder to pull on that toe. My mom did something similar, only I was 23 and visiting their horse farm. I got stepped on and felt my big toe break. When I had limped back to the house and took my shoe off, Mom grabbed my toe and yanked on it for the same reason your dad did. I kicked her in the face out of pure pain and reaction, which broke her nose. So we walked into the emergency room together and got laughed at like the idiots we are. You're in the clear on this one. Someone yanking on your broken toe is right up there with holding you down to tickle you. All rules suspended. Kick, bite, and throw elbows at will. She worked for a specialty decorated cookie shop at the mall, like where you get those dinner plate-sized cookies with "Get well soon" or whatever written in frosting. She texted me a picture from work, proudly showing me a cookie she had decorated for a customer. She was legitimately excited to show me her creation. I had not previously seen any of her masterpieces prior to this. Not only did the artwork look like a 3-year-old's finger painting, but it said, "Congratulations," which aside from the obviously bad spelling, she had clearly not even planned out the spacing in her head first. So it said "Conradu" across the whole cookie, and then, in tiny letters up the side, Latins. She thought it came out pretty well. She was about 30 at the time. I'll be honest, I broke things off shortly afterwards because of that cookie. An ex thought that commercials were recorded live, and the people on TV were employed to do them over and over again. As a kid, my parents told me I couldn't watch TV before bed, and the only reason I listened was because I didn't want the people in the TV to have to perform my show and get in trouble with their parents for not getting ready for bed.